How's it going, everybody? My name is Lucky Buns, and in today's video I'm going to be going over the best research tasks to complete in Pokemon Go. Field research tasks are actually one of the best ways to get hundos and shinies in the game, along with free Mega Energy without having to actually do raid battles. These can also help you get some really good meta-relevant raid attackers in the game and extra candy on those Pokemon that you're working on evolving or even powering up. You can also stack up to 100 field research encounters and redeem these during 3x Stardust or experience events like Community Day. Now with that being said, there are going to be a lot of different field research tasks in Pokemon Go. Some of them are worth doing, while others not so much. For this video specifically, I'm going to be going over all of the relevant ones, and so I do encourage you guys to watch this one all the way through so you can further improve your knowledge on what to pay attention to. That being said though, timestamps are going to be linked down below as always, so feel free to skip around as needed. Now to start things off, we're going to be going over the hardest tasks to complete and why you actually want to do them. So there's going to be 3 in particular. Make 2 excellent throws, which actually awards you a Gibble. Make 3 excellent throws in a row. I know that sounds completely insane, but that is going to award you either Larvitar, Beldum, or Gibble. And then finally, catch 1 Dragon-type Pokemon, which is going to award you Dratini, Bagon, or Axew. Now all of these Pokemon are going to be pseudo-legendary Pokemon except for Axew, which evolves into Haxorus. For some reason, Haxorus just didn't make the cut. Now in terms of actually getting the excellent throws, especially the excellent throws in a row, like that seems completely insane. So the best way to actually get this done is to actually use the Circle Lock method. It's going to require a lot of patience, and you're probably going to get frustrated because you might get 2 excellent throws in a row and then completely miss that 3rd excellent throw in a row, but I guarantee the Circle Lock method is the safest approach to this. Now this video is focused on field research tasks, so I'm not going to go over the Circle Lock method in this video, but I do have a tutorial which I'm going to link in the top right hand corner right now, as well as in the description down below. Now there is a reason why this task is so difficult, right? Because it is going to award you the best Pokemon in the game. Larvitar evolves into Tyranitar, and Mega Tyranitar is the best Rock-type attacker in the game and also the best Dark-type attacker in the game, and just regular Tyranitar by itself is actually one of the top Dark-type attackers in the game, and it doesn't even require any legacy movesets. Now when it comes down to Tyranitar in the Rock-type meta though, you do actually need the Calm Day exclusive moveset Smackdown, which again, it is an Elite Fast TM, and most people actually have more of these than they do Elite Charge TMs. Now Shadow Tyranitar is also going to be a thing, but it's not currently available in Team Go Rocket battles. Now we also have Beldum as well, which evolves into Metagross, and with the exclusive Calm Day moveset Meteor Mash, this is currently one of the best Steel-type attackers in the game. We did recently have the announcement for Duskmane coming into Pokemon Go during GoFest Global, so that is actually going to be the best Steel-type attacker in the game, but for the longest time, guys, Metagross was that Pokemon. And even if you are able to get Duskmane, most of you are probably only going to be able to get one of these, so for the rest of your attackers, you should probably focus on getting more Metagross. And not to mention, this also has a Shadow variant as well, which is extremely good. It's actually one of the best, if not the best, Steel-type attacker in the game next to Duskmane. So yeah, all around, you know, even if you don't get a good IV spread, even if you don't get a shiny, getting candy on these Pokemon is extremely valuable, and you definitely want to Pineapple Berry them if you are able to complete this task. Now with that being said, I didn't forget about Gibble, so let's go over this right now. So Gibble evolves into Garchomp. Now Garchomp has a lot of meta relevance. It is meta relevant as both a really good Dragon-type attacker with a non-legacy moveset, Dragon Tail and Outrage, and then it's also going to be relevant as a Ground-type attacker with Mudshot plus Earth Power. Now unfortunately, Earth Power is going to be a Calm Day exclusive moveset, but again, you can totally use it as a Dragon-type attacker. Now additionally, on top of that, very similar to, you know, Mega Tyranitar over here, we also have Mega Garchomp, which again, it's even better in this categories. So as a really good Dragon-type attacker, I believe is currently the 2nd best Dragon-type attacker in the game next to Mega Rayquaza. And then we also have Mega Garchomp in the Ground-type category, which is going to be the 2nd best Ground-type attacker next to Primal Groudon. Not to mention, Gibble also has a Shadow variant, so all around this task is actually really worth doing in my opinion if you are able to get those excellent throws done, because the candy on all 3 of these Pokemon are going to be extremely useful, whether you want to power up the current one you get, or if you just want to save it for a potential Shadow in the future. Now if you are able to find the Catch 1 Dragon-type Pokemon, this one is a significantly easier task to complete, and you're also going to get candy on Dratini as well as Bagon. So Dratini evolves into Dragonite, which is actually really good in the Master League, and it's also a pretty good Dragon-type attacker to use as well. There's no legacy movesets here that are actually worth using, like it does actually have a legacy moveset for Draco Meteor, but honestly it's just better to go with Outrage, so don't really worry about that one. And then we also have Bagon, which actually evolves into Salamence. This one does have a Calm Day exclusive moveset that is going to be Outrage, which is kind of funny. funny. Dragonite got Draco Meteor, and then a Salamence got Outrage. Now both of these Pokemon do also have Shadow variants, so even if you don't get good IVs on the ones that you get from this research task, just focusing on the candy alone is super beneficial. Now finally we do have Axew, which evolves into Haxorus, which honestly isn't the best Pokemon to use anymore. Not that it's necessarily a bad attacker in the Raid/Gym meta, but it also had much better relevance before with Breaking Swipe, which was a Comday exclusive moveset, but this kind of gave it dual functionality as both a Dragon type attacker as well as a Master League attacker, which after Breaking Swipe got nerfed, that really went down the drain for Haxorus. Like, you can still use it in the Open Master League, but it's definitely not as good as it used to be. Now hopefully I didn't scare you guys off, because again, these are going to be some of the most difficult tasks to not only get in Pokemon Go, but also to complete. So with that being said, we're going to move on over to some easier tasks now, which are going to be focused more on shiny hunting. There are going to be some Pokemon that do have meta relevance in the Raid/Gym meta, and if they do, I'm going to cover them. Keeping that in mind though, if I don't mention any relevance for any of these Pokemon, it's most likely because they don't have any, and in terms of PvP relevance, the only reason that I'm not going to cover that in this video is because the floor IVs for most of these Pokemon are going to be 10-10-10, so there really isn't any point to actually go over them because you're not going to be able to get ideal PvP IV spreads for the Great League or the Ultra League. So with that being said, we're going to be going over the throwing tasks first, starting off with the Make 5 Nice Throws. You guys can either get a Diglett, a Alolan Diglett, or Pseudo. The next one is going to be to make 10 Nice Throws, which is going to award you a Plusle or a Minun. Pretty rare shiny in my opinion, we don't see these Pokemon too often. The next one is going to be to make 3 Great Throws, which can award you an Omanyte, Kabuto, Clamperl, LGM, or Binacle. All 5 of those Pokemon are actually pretty hard to find, so if you do want a shiny hunt, that is a great task to get done. The next one after that is going to be for the Make 5 Great Throws, which is going to award you a Slakoth or a Makuhita. Next up, we're going to have the Make 3 Great Throws in a row, which is definitely a bit more challenging, but not impossible. This one is going to award you a Laleep or an Anorith. Following that, we're going to have the Make 5 Great Curveball Throws, which is going to award you an Omanyte or a Kabuto. And then after that, we're going to have the Make 5 Great Curveball Throws, but in a row. So this is arguably one of the most challenging tasks here. I mean, it's not that difficult, but I know that a lot of players have struggled with this. But the reason why this task is actually so good is because this is the only way to actually get Spinda in game. Spinda actually has a bunch of different patterns in game, and I know that a lot of people do actually go after this for the different patterns. The current one in rotation right now is going to be pattern number 7. Now on top of that, Spinda is also going to have a boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64, which is actually really good for shiny hunters. Again, this task is actually pretty difficult to complete, but if you are able to get this one, it is definitely worth holding on to and actually trying to get it done. Next up, let's go over the exploring tasks, starting off with the hatching tasks first. So to hatch 1 egg, you guys can get either Scyther, Sudowoodo, Nincada, Trubbish, or Darumaka. Now in terms of shiny hunting, Scyther and Nincada are both going to have boosted shiny rates of 1 out of 64, which is pretty good to hunt. Sudowoodo was also featured, I believe, in the Make 5 Nice Throw, so this one is again a double feature right here. And then Trubbish is actually going to give you 750 Stardust per catch. So for this Pokemon specifically, if you are able to roll it, I highly recommend stacking this one in your field research for a 3-time Stardust event. And then finally, Darumaka is going to be available as well, which is a pretty rare Pokemon to get. This one is a great Fire-type attacker in the Raid/Gym meta. And on top of that, it also has a Shadow variant, so if you guys want to actually farm candy on this Pokemon, that would be a great idea. Not to mention, it also has a Galarian version, which also uses the same candy, and we're actually going to talk about that Pokemon right now. So the next task that we're going to be going over is going to be the Hatch 2 Eggs task, which is going to award you either Sneasel, Mawile, Feebas, or Galarian Darumaka. So this task is definitely a lot more worth it in my opinion, mainly because every single one of these Pokemon has a boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64. Now a few of these Pokemon do have meta relevance, so when Sneasel evolves into Weavile with a Sinnoh Stone, it also costs 100 candy, so I won't exactly call this one budget, but again, if you are able to get the shiny, it is a pretty cool Pokemon to have, and it does have a Shadow variant as well. But again, this Pokemon actually has some pretty good play in the Ice-type meta as a Raid/Gym attacker. It used to be a pretty good Dark-type attacker as well, but we just have way better options now. When it comes down to Mawile, this does actually have a future Mega Evolution, but it's honestly not going to be meta relevant whatsoever, so I wouldn't worry about this one, but the shiny is pretty cool. And then finally, when it comes down to Galarian Darumaka, when this evolves into Galarian Darmanitan, with Ice Fang plus Avalanche, it's actually going to be the second best non-Mega, non-Shadow Ice-type attacker in the game. Next up, we're going to be going over the Spin Pokestop task, so there's going to actually be 2 different ones, a Spin 3 and then Spin 5. For the Spin 3, you guys can either get Doduo, Remoraid, Ralts, or Aeron. The last 2 are actually pretty good because Ralts evolves into Gardevoir, which also has a Mega, and it's also really good as just a Gardevoir by itself with Charm plus Dazzling Gleam. And then you also have Aeron, which evolves into Aggron, which also has a Mega Evolution, but in terms of overall meta relevance, it really doesn't have much. With that being said though, I do think that Shiny Aeron is pretty cool because it does have those red eyes, kind of like Sharingan from Naruto, and I have a whole collection of them just for that reason. Now from the Spin 5 Pokestops task, you guys can also get Growlithe, Hisuian Growlithe, Slowpoke or Galarian Slowpoke. Next up, we're going to be going over taking snapshots of wild Pokemon. So the most generic one is going to award you Trapinch, Croagunk, or Cottonee. And then following that, we're going to have the take 3 snapshots of X-type wild Pokemon. So we have water types, flying types, and rock types. For water types, you guys can get Chinchou and Surskit. For flying, you guys can get Doduo and Hoothoot, and then for rock types, you guys can get Geodude and Binacle. Next up, we got the Buddy and Friendship task. So we're going to be going over the Earn X candies walking with your buddy. So we have the Earn 2 candies first, which can award you Jigglypuff, Baneri, Glameow, Bunnelby, Litleo, and Dedenne. And then we have the Earn 3 candies walking with your buddy, which can award you Stunfisk or Galarian Stunfisk. Now, I do want to go over Galarian Stunfisk because if you guys do actually get the Hundo, this Pokemon is actually useful in the Open Ultra League as the Hundo, not actually PvP IV spread, so this one is definitely worth trying to get. And I believe Galarian Stunfisk used to have a boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64 as well, but I think it was removed at some point. I wasn't able to find any confirmation, so maybe one of you guys can let me know in the comment section down below. And then we have 2 more generic tasks to go over in terms of exploring tasks. So we're going to have the Send 5 gifts with stickers, which is going to award you a Love Disc, and then we have the Trade 1 Pokemon, which is going to award you an Abra. Now when it comes down to Abra, this does evolve into Alakazam, and you can also use it as a trade evolution Pokemon. So basically, if you trade this Pokemon with a friend and they also trade you an Abra, all you have to do is evolve it into Kadabra with 25 candy, and then the evolution to Alakazam is actually free. So that's actually pretty cool right there. Not to mention, Alakazam also has a Mega Evolution and is currently the best Mega Psychic type attacker in the game, so getting good IVs on this Pokemon is definitely worth it. Moving on, we're going to be going over the catching tasks next. So honestly, most of these are pretty easy to get done regardless of what the outcome is. Like if you get this task, just complete it unless it's like a catch X type Pokemon, which those ones are a little bit tougher to get done, especially if we have certain events ongoing, which really kind of excludes a certain type of Pokemon. That being said though, let's run through these right now. So we have the Catch 5 Pokemon, which is going to award you either Bidoof, Patrat, or Bunnelby. So I mean, you get the god of all Pokemon right there, Bidoof. I mean, you guys have to complete this task. Next up, we have the Catch 7 Pokemon task, which is going to award you either Magikarp, Stuffle, or Wimpod. So Magikarp evolves into Gyarados with 400 candy, and honestly, Gyarados is a pretty good Pokemon to have because it also has a Mega Evolution. It's not going to be like the best Mega Evolution for the Water or Dark type category, but it's still a great option to have, and also just for the typing bonuses. I don't really want to oversell this one though because catching 7 Pokemon isn't really that difficult to get done. Now following that, we're going to have the Catch 5 X type of Pokemon. So for Water or Ground type Pokemon, you guys can get either Swinub, Buizel, or Tympole. So Swinub, when evolved into Mamoswine, is actually a really good Ice type attacker in the game. And then not only that, it also has a Shadow variant, so getting Swinub candy is probably a really good thing to do. Now we also have the Catch 5 Electric or Flying type Pokemon, which is going to award you either Pidgey, Mareep, or Electrike. Now for those of you guys who don't know, Pidgey evolves into Pidgeot, Mareep evolves into Ampharos, and Electrike evolves into Manectric. All 3 of these Pokemon have Mega Evolution, so getting good IVs on any of these 3 is going to be a solid investment for the future. Mega Pidgeot is currently one of the best flying type attackers in the game next to Mega Rayquaza, not to mention Mega Pidgeot also has functionality in the Open Ultra League because it doesn't actually hit the 2500 CP limit. So getting the Hundo here is actually really beneficial for more than one reason. Now Mega Ampharos isn't actually going to be that great of a Mega Pokemon compared to Mega Manectric, so honestly if you had to pick one to go with, I would definitely try to get a good one of that. But that being said, Mega Ampharos does have a nice benefit because it's actually going to be a dual Dragon and Electric type attacker. So what this essentially means is that when it comes down to the Mega Candy bonuses, this is really where Mega Ampharos shines. Manectric only has the single typing, so yeah, it doesn't really benefit you too much in terms of candy bonuses, but in terms of using it as a raid/gym attacker, you definitely want to go with this Pokemon. Now following that, we're going to have the Catch 7 different species of Pokemon, which is going to award you Alolan Diglett. Honestly, this is like the least desirable task out there, not to mention it's a little bit more difficult. The Catch 15 different species of Pokemon, though, is actually a much better task because this is going to award you Clamperl, which has a boosted shiny rate of 1 out of 64. And not to mention, this Pokemon is pretty rare to find in general, like we only ever get it during like water type events, which don't really happen that often. Next one is going to be to catch 5 weather boosted Pokemon, which is going to award you either Vulpix, Poliwag, Wingull, Hippopotas, Snover, Roggenrola, or Vanillite. So you have a lot of different options here in terms of shiny potential, and Snover, when evolved into Abomasnow, is actually going to have a Mega Evolution as well, so definitely want to get some good IVs on that Pokemon. Now some people might think that this task is actually kind of difficult, but you always have an active weather boost in Pokemon Go, so it's definitely worth doing. And then finally, the last task is going to be to use 5 raspberries to catch Pokemon. the reward is going to be either Vulpix or Psyduck. Next up, let's take a look at the battling task. So we're going to have win 1 battle in the Go Battle League, which will award you either Poliwag, Marill, or Krogunk. Now that's going to be the only Go Battle League task, so there really isn't anything else. If you guys do get it, honestly, it's a really easy one to get done. Now following that, we have the win 3-star raid battle or higher. So this one's actually going to give you a pretty good reward in terms of rare shinies. That's going to be Tortuga or Arcan. This task might seem like it's kind of tedious to get done, but honestly, just kind of save it in your inventory, and if you go and do like a legendary raid battle one day, you can even just host it through Pokegenie. I do have a separate video going over how to do that. Then it's going to be pretty easy to actually get this one done. Now the next two are a little bit more debatable though, because the next one is going to be to win 2 raid battles, any raid battles, and that's going to award you a Lapras. Now Lapras, in my opinion, has one of the coolest shinies in game, and this also has some pretty good play in the Open Ultra League as a extra large Pokemon, so if you want to get some extra large candy just kind of holding on to Lapras, this is going to be a good way to do that, sorta, because winning 2 raid battles, again, like, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to actually get this done, so, I mean, really when it comes down to it, I don't actually recommend doing this task, but if you're going to be going out to do raid battles anyways, like during an event, then you might as well kind of hold on to this one if you have it. Now we do actually have one more after that, which is going to be to win 5 raid battles, which is going to award you either Alolan Marowak, Alolan Exeggutor, or Aerodactyl. So Aerodactyl does have a Mega Evolution, but honestly it's not nearly as good since Mega Tyranitar came out. But if you do want to get the shiny, I mean, it is a pretty cool shiny to get. In my opinion, I don't really feel like this task is actually worth holding on to because it's definitely more of a pay-to-win task. We have a few more tasks to go over now, so the next one is going to be Evolve 1 Pokemon, which is going to award you an Eevee. So this one is a really easy task to get done, and it honestly gives you one of the best rewards. Like, I have not found a single person that does not like a shiny Eevee in their collection because they can evolve it into any of the different evolutions. I do have a full guide video that goes over how to do that. Like all the other videos, guys, I'm going to leave that one link down below, but definitely worth doing this task for sure. Next up, let's go over the Team Go Rocket tasks. We only have 2 of these though. So the first one is going to be to defeat 3 Team Go Rocket Grunts, which is going to award you Alolan Rattata, and then we're also going to have Purify 3 Shadow Pokemon, which is going to award you Onix. Now the only reason why I recommend doing that second task is because you actually do want to work towards getting your Purification Medal done, or at least a Platinum, and this definitely takes a long time. Like, I only recently just got mine to Gold, and I've been playing for a long time, so yeah, like when it comes down to it, you kind of have an extra reason to actually get this task done. Like, it definitely has a double benefit, so I would recommend holding on to this one. The defeat 3 Team Go Rocket Grunts one is a little bit more debatable though, so I mean, if you want to do it, I mean, go for it, like if you have a lot of stops around you, but if you don't, I would not hold on to this one. Now finally, we have the Power Up Pokemon X times quest. So the first one is going to be to power up a Pokemon 3 times, which is going to award you either Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, so any of the Kanto starters. All 3 of these Pokemon do have Mega Evolutions, which we're going to talk about later on in this video. Now following that, we have the Power Up Pokemon 5 times, which is going to award you either Snivy, Tepig, or Oshawott, so the Gen 5 starters. And then after that, we have the Power Up Pokemon 7 times, which is going to award you either Rowlet, Litten, or Poplio. The only one of these 3 that doesn't have a shiny just yet is going to be Poplio, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get that relatively soon in game. So by the time I'm making this video, I mean, we don't have it, but maybe by the time you're watching this video, we do actually have it. Now we do actually have one more section to go over for the rest of this video, and that's going to be Mega Evolution Pokemon. So the reason why I saved this one towards the end is because I feel like I need to go over Mega Evolutions just by itself for those of you guys who are new or returning players to the game, and then we're going to go over the tasks that you guys can actually complete to get free Mega Energy without actually having to do raid battles. So for those of you guys unfamiliar, you can only have 1 Mega Evolution active at a time. Now typically the best way to get Mega Energy to evolve these Pokemon is going to be from raid battles, but again, you can also get this from research tasks as well. Not to mention, after you Mega Evolve these Pokemon for the first time, the cost to Mega Evolve them in the future is reduced by 80%. And then you also gain the ability to earn Mega Energy from walking with your buddy, and you get a cooldown period between your next free Mega Evolution. This starts at 7 days and progressively goes down to 3 days as you continue to level up your Mega. There's going to be 3 different levels for Mega Evolution, with Mega Level 3 being the final stage. Now once you guys get to Mega Level 3, you're also going to get amazing candy and extra large candy bonuses when catching Pokemon, which is going to help you accumulate these resources significantly faster. This is going to take you 30 days of Mega Evolution to reach Mega Level 3, but I seriously cannot recommend this enough. Like, Mega Level 3 Pokemon are seriously what makes hunting during calm days that much more efficient. So with that being said, we're going to be going over some tasks right now that can actually help you get free Mega Energy to actually evolve them for the first time. And then once you evolve them for the first time, you guys can just walk them after that to get some more free Mega Energy. But again, getting that initial energy is probably the most difficult part for most players. The first task is going to be to catch 10 normal type Pokemon, which is going to award you 10 Mega Pidgeot energy. So Mega Pidgeot, like I mentioned earlier, is one of the best Pokemon to have in the game. It is going to be a normal and flying type Mega Evolution, and again, It has relevance in the Ultra League as well as in the Raid/Gym meta. Now following that, we're going to have the Catch 10 Grass-type Pokemon. So this one's going to award you 10 Mega Venusaur energy or 10 Mega Sceptile energy. Mega Venusaur is going to be the third best Grass-type attacker in the game, right behind Kartana with Vine Whip plus Frenzy Plant. And then Mega Sceptile is going to be the best Grass-type attacker in the game by a good amount with Bullet Seed plus Frenzy Plant. So Frenzy Plant on both of these Pokemon are going to be Calm Day exclusive movesets, but again, like, they are absolutely worth having. Like, Mega Sceptile is going to be the GOAT for a very, very long time, at least until we get Shadow Kartana in game. Now, I do also want to go over the typing bonuses as well. So for Mega Venusaur, it's going to have a typing of Grass and Poison, and then for Mega Sceptile, it's going to have a typing of Grass and Dragon. So it's definitely worth trying to get both of them to Mega Level 3 in my opinion. Now, following that, the next one is going to be to catch 10 Fire-type Pokemon, which is going to award you either 10 Mega Charizard energy or 10 Mega Blaziken energy. Now, when it comes down to meta relevance for both of these Pokemon, if you have Fire Spin plus Blast Burn on either of them, that is going to be incredibly awesome. So that pretty much makes them the best fire type attacker in the game. If they don't have Blast Burn, that is still okay. Like, Overheat is still a decent option for Charizard, and then Blaze Kick is going to be still a decent option for Blaziken. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have the exclusive Calm Day moveset, but I would recommend giving it to him in the future. Now on top of that, Mega Blaziken is also going to be the second best fighting type attacker in the game with Counter plus Focus Blast. So again, like, this has no legacy movesets right there in terms of its fighting type relevance. Now when it comes down to typing bonuses, Charizard actually has a split Mega Evolution, either going to Mega Charizard X or Mega Charizard Y. If you choose to go with Mega Charizard X, you actually get both Dragon as well as Fire type Pokemon bonuses, and then if you choose to go with Mega Charizard Y, you get Flying and Fire type bonuses. So I typically go with Mega Charizard Y most of the time, but sometimes I'll go with Mega Charizard X. You don't actually need separate energy for either of them either, so like once you get one Mega Charizard to Mega Level 3, you can either go with Mega Charizard X or Mega Charizard Y. It's totally up to you. Now for Mega Blaziken, it's going to have the dual typing of Fire as well as Fighting, so it's actually a really good typing bonus to have as well because we don't have that many Mega Fighting type attackers in the game. Now following that, the next task is going to be to catch 10 Water type Pokemon. This is going to award you either 10 Mega Blastoise energy or 10 Mega Swampert energy. Now when it comes down to this specific task, I mean, Blastoise energy is kind of whatever in my opinion, but Mega Swampert energy, my goodness, this is going to be extremely useful to have. So whenever we had Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre in raids at one time, Mega Swampert actually covered both of those raid formats. So you got extra large candy bonuses for Groudon as well as Kyogre. It was such a clutch Pokemon to have. Like, seriously, the dual typing of ground plus water is amazing. Mega Swampert is without a doubt the GOAT. Like, it's not the best water type attacker in the game, it's not the best ground type attacker in the game, but it's definitely up there as one of the top Pokemon picks. So yeah, when it comes down to it, it's extremely worth it. Not to mention Swampert by itself is actually pretty decent in the Master League Premier Cup. Now I'm not done yet though, guys. We actually have 2 more tasks to go over. The next one is going to be the Power Up Pokemon 5 times. You can get 10 Mega Energy on any of these Pokemon: Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Beedrill, Pidgeot, Manectric, or Aggron. Now we've already talked about most of these Pokemon, so I'm going to specifically go over Beedrill and Aggron. Now for those of you guys who didn't actually know this, when you spin when you spin Gym Stops, you actually get Mega Beedrill energy. Like, I don't know why it's in game like this, but yeah, if you've ever just like wondered why you have so much Mega Beedrill energy, this is the reason why. Now in terms of Mega Beedrill though, this is currently the best Mega Poison type attacker in the game with Poison Jab plus Sludge Bomb, and you could argue that Mega Gengar is technically the best with Shadow Claw plus Sludge Bomb, but that doesn't technically have a stab fast move, although just due to overall damage output, this is technically better than Mega Beedrill. Now in terms of typing bonuses, Mega Beedrill both gets Poison as well as Bug type, so that's pretty good in my opinion. Like, most other Pokemon are not getting Poison type, and most other Pokemon are not getting Bug type. There's very few in between there. So definitely a great Pokemon to have for candy grinding if we ever have a Bug type event or even a Poison type event. Now unfortunately, for some reason, when Aggron evolves into Mega Aggron, it doesn't actually have a dual typing. As Aggron, it has a dual typing of Rock and Steel, but when it evolves into Mega Aggron, it only has a single Steel typing, which is super weird. So honestly, when it comes down to this Pokemon, I really don't recommend it that much, but if you don't have a Mega Steelix, then this would be your next best option in terms of Steel types. Now finally, our last task is going to be to power up a Pokemon 10 times, and this is going to give you 25 Mega Energy, so this one is really, really worth doing. You guys can get Mega Energy on either Gyarados, Steelix, or Houndoom. So we talked about Mega Gyarados earlier very briefly, and then we didn't really talk about Steelix or Houndoom. Now Mega Steelix has a dual typing of both Steel as well as Ground, so it's actually a little bit better than Mega Aggron. Mega Houndoom also has a dual typing of Dark as well as Fire, which is pretty good. Although, to be honest, I don't really see myself using this that often, so when it comes down to it, I mean, The big winner here is probably Gyarados and Steelix. Like, I think those two are definitely worth doing. But I mean, if you're going to get Mega Energy on Houndoom, like, there's really no reason not to complete any of these tasks. It's all power-up tasks. So when it comes down to it, it seems like some of the best ways to actually get free Mega Energy in the game is going to be to power up Pokemon. But what are the best Pokemon to power up? If you guys want to find out, check out these two videos right here.